Hey guys, Ryan here. In today's video, I want to be talking about my new favorite SMG, the Lapa. In this video, I'm going to statistically prove to you why this thing is one of, if not the best SMG in the entire game right now. You really should be leveling this thing up. You really should be trying to unlock it, because if you can manage the recoil and if you can handle the iron sights or even just a red dot sight, you're going to destroy with this thing. Now, this video is going to be broken up into multiple sections. I'm going to have the entire middle portion dedicated to attachments, how I'm going to build it, and the two builds I would use. So feel free to skip to that portion if you so please. I hope you guys enjoy this video. As I've said many times before, you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe. But if you do, it really helps out the channel, and I appreciate every bit of support I receive. And I just want to say thank you to anyone watching this video. But let's get into it. This thing, in every statistical way, is going to be better than the Colder MP5, the OTS9, and even guns like the AUG 556 rounds in sheer damage. I want you to put that in perspective. Essentially every meta SMG right now, essentially every meta sniper support AR will be beat in raw time to kill by this gun. But there's a caveat, and there's a little catch to this. That is only achieved based on the different barrels you have. So to achieve the time to kills up close that beats the OTS and the MP5, you have to use the very last barrel. The Colder MP5 and OTS9 are the clear two meta favorites among almost all the biggest streamers, amongst all the best players I know, and even amongst myself and people like Jgun and whatnot. When you're talking as an aggressive assault rifle player or someone who quickscopes, the OTS and Colder MP5 really stand out as the dominant two. But now, guys, looking at this time to kill chart, why would you not use the Lapa? The only real downside is going to be the iron sights and has a little more hefty recoil, but look at beyond the first damage drop off. At 10 meters, they all experience the same damage drop off, and they then go into their second damage range, and that is where the Lapa shines. That time to kill puts it on par with the Mac 10, the Bullfrog, the FFAR, the Colder AK, essentially all sniper supports, mid-range SMGs, that's around where their time to kill is, and this gun has that up to about 16 meters. So not only does it kill faster than the Colder MP5 and the OTS9 within 0 and 10 meters, it absolutely destroys them between 0 and 16 meters. But now, as I mentioned before, that was with the very last barrel you unlock, and now I want to show you the difference with the very first barrel you unlock. The main reason I really want to go over this is because, as I said before, this is the very first barrel you unlock, and it's clearly the second best one to use and will drastically change the feel of this gun. If you are using it without a damage barrel, you are going to have a drastically lower time to kill. As you can see here, when you use this barrel, rather than having a faster time to kill than the OTS9, you have essentially the exact same time to kill as the OTS9 and Colder MP5 between 0 and 10 meters. The benefit of this barrel is, though, it's going to have way easier recoil to control, it's going to be a little better in the mid-range, and it's just going to feel a little bit quicker when you ADS and just use it overall. So that's one of the best things about this gun. Unlike a lot of SMGs, you do have to use a barrel to get the most damage with this gun, but luckily, the very first barrel we unlock is more than viable enough and will be competitive the entire time you use it until you unlock that last barrel. So now, guys, the other issue is, and this is where I'm going to start shifting it to talking more about the attachments and going over all of that, is you really kind of have to use a red dot sight. I actually kind of like these iron sights and I can kind of use them, but that's because of the blueprint I'm using, and even with the blueprint, they're kind of rough. A red dot sight like the Microflex LED or the Hawksmoor is absolutely amazing and really helps when you're using this gun. I'm not saying it's absolutely necessary, because as you can see, I'm having more than enough success with the iron sights, but for the most part, guys, with a red dot sight, the gun feels much better. It feels much better in the mid-range, it feels much better up close, and it just feels much better overall. The issue with that, though, is it takes up a key attachment slot. Because of the way guns are set up, you essentially are committing all of your attachments to the agency suppressor, you're committing it to that barrel, you're committing it to a bigger magazine, and now you're committing it to a sight. So that's 4 of your 5 attachment slots being used on things you kind of have to use. Now, this is where it gets tricky. For a lot of people, I think the recoil, they're going to have to use a foregrip to help reduce some of the recoil. And this is where it gets a little iffy because that's not going to allow you to use the best attachments on SMGs. It's going to make it a little weaker than the OTS and colder MP5 in mobility, ADS, and all of that. So having said all of that, if you can manage to use the iron sights, you're going to be better off because you're going to be able to fit another attachment onto this gun. But if you're struggling using it because you feel like people are disappearing through your vision in team fights, then just use a red dot sight. But the main build I would use with this, and it's going to be the iron sight build, is going to be this. Agency Suppressor, the very last barrel if you have it unlocked. If not, use the very first one. I'm then going to use the biggest non-fast mag I have available. I will use either the field agent grip or the base foregrip if I have it unlocked. The Bruiser grip also works well based on your playstyle if you're really aggressive or you're going more for the mid-range. And then I'm going to use that red dot sight, and that's going to be my total build. Now, if you are not using the red dot sight, this is what I would then use instead. I would use the very last stock or any stock that's going to boost your sprint to fire time. Sprint to fire time is the most crucial stat on almost any gun in the entire game, and I don't care what anyone says. Without sprint to fire time, you're going to be caught out, you're going to be weak, you're going to be getting annihilated, you're going to be getting melted by tons of different people, and you're going to be wondering why. It's because your sprint to fire time is way too high, and you're going to be reacting delayed and slow and unable to shoot as fast as other people. So if possible, learn to manage the iron sights and use that best stock for sprint to fire, which is usually the Raider pad, the very last stock. So guys, the only real downsides with this gun is it has a little hefty recoil in comparison to most guns. The way it has to be built isn't going to allow it to be as mobile as other SMGs like the MAC-10, the Milano, the OTS-9, etc. It's not going to be as mobile as those guns, but because it's a Cold War gun, because of its base mobility stats, it's going to be plenty mobile, you're going to be plenty fast enough, and your movement isn't going to be too hindered, unlike a lot of Modern Warfare guns. The other thing is, looking at its damage, looking at its time to kill, this thing is absolutely insane. The only bad part is a lot of people don't have it unlocked, and if they do have it unlocked, they need to level it up. Now, if you are struggling to use this thing, make sure you have a good damage barrel equipped. I will repeat this. The very first damage barrel is the second best one to use, in my opinion. And then I would use the very last barrel if you have it unlocked. That's going to come with a little less damage range, maybe a little more kick, and a little tougher feel overall. But if you can master it, and once you get used to that feeling of it, that last barrel is going to be insane. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope when you next decide what SMG you're going to use, you choose to use the Lapa. I think this gun is absolutely amazing. I think it's insane that the time to kill is as high as it is. If you really think about it, the fact this kills faster than the OTS-9 and the colder MP5 up close, it makes a no-brainer decision for me on what SMG I want to run the vast majority of the time. I just want to say, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you understand why you should be using the Lapa. I hope you have a good day. And more than anything, if you like this video, if you feel like you learned something, you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe. I just want to say thank you for actually clicking on this video and watching it. And just thank you for being a part of my channel overall. I hope you have a good day. It's been Ryan. Peace.